If you're genuinely fed up with being broke, stop everything and listen up. Poverty isn't your fate, it's just a temporary state. The answer isn't working harder, it's about doing things differently. Stick around until the end to uncover the what and the how that will transform your life forever. Chapter 1: The Diagnosis: Why Your Mind Rejects Money and How to Reverse It. If you're sick and tired of being broke, the first thing you've got to grasp is the real diagnosis. Poverty isn't just about your bank account, it's a symptom, the real disease. It's in your mind, deep in your subconscious. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your subconscious is the engine driving your life's plans, but it doesn't call the shots. It just takes the images and beliefs your conscious mind feeds it. And here's the gut punch truth. For most people, their subconscious is wired to push money away. You might want to be rich with every fiber of your being, but if your inner programming says, no way, you're fighting a losing battle. It's like trying to sail north with your ship's rudder locked south. No matter how hard you paddle, that internal code will always win. This programming, this mental virus, got installed when you were a kid. Think about the ideas you soaked up as truth. Money is the root of all evil. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter heaven. Rich people aren't honest. Money doesn't buy happiness. We're poor, but we're good and happy. Every one of those phrases wired your subconscious to see wealth as the bad guy. To protect you and stay consistent with that programming, your mind starts actively rejecting chances to get ahead. You sabotage a promising deal, blow through cash impulsively, or feel this weird, nagging discomfort when big money's on the table. That's not bad luck. That's your internal belief system protecting you from what it's been taught to see as dangerous, dirty, or unspiritual. The Bible lays out a similar diagnosis in the story of the 12 spies in Numbers, chapter 13. 12 guys were sent to scout the promised land, a place overflowing with abundance. 10 came back scared out of their minds. They saw giants and fortified cities and said, "We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes." Catch the order here. First, they saw themselves as small and weak, an internal diagnosis of defeat, and then they projected that onto everyone else. They carried a victim mindset, a belief that the obstacle was bigger than the promise. Their minds rejected the blessing before they even fought for it. Only Joshua and Caleb had a different spirit, a mindset of faith and possibility. They saw the same land, but their diagnosis was victory. So, how do you flip the script? The first step to healing is awareness and rejection. You've got to become a detective in your own mind. Grab a notebook and write down every negative belief about money you can recall. Next to each one, declare with fire, "That's a lie planted by the world's thinking. The truth is, wealth is a blessing from God and my divine right." Florence Scovel would say you've got to rattle the thief. Confront those beliefs with a higher truth. That's where the reprogramming begins, the first step to rewriting the diagnosis. If you're ready to dig deep and start reshaping your inner code, drop a like to seal that commitment. This is the most crucial step of all. Chapter 2: The First Dose of the Antidote, the wealth affirmation that silences the voice of doubt. Once you've pinpointed the scarcity programming in your mind, you need the antidote. If the disease was planted by negative words and beliefs, the cure comes through the same channel. Positive words and beliefs, wielded with power and purpose. This is the first and most critical dose of the treatment, the affirmation of wealth. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that spoken words carry immense vibrational power. They imprint on your subconscious and shape the ether, the universal substance, into the form of what you declare. An affirmation isn't some fluffy positive thought. It's a decree, a bold, authoritative statement of spiritual truth that you repeat consistently until it becomes your new reality. It's the tool to overwrite and erase that old poverty program. At first, your logical mind and the voice of doubt, what Shinn called the army of the aliens, will push back. It'll feel like a lie. But here's the deal, you're not lying, you're correcting a lie you've been fed your whole life. That doubting voice will sneer, "How can you say, I am rich, when your bank account's empty?" This is where faith kicks in. You've got to stand firm in the truth that your source isn't your bank balance, your job, or the economy. Your source is God, the infinite universal substance, always present and limitless. Your affirmation isn't describing your current reality. It's commanding the reality you want to manifest from that inexhaustible source. Shinn recommended short, powerful, rhythmic affirmations that are easy to memorize and repeat throughout the day, especially when doubt creeps in. One of the most potent for silencing scarcity is, "My supply comes from God, and large sums of money come to me now, under grace and in perfect ways, for the good of all." Break it down. It names the true source, comes from God, commands the outcome, large sums of money come to me now, sets the terms of manifestation, under grace and in perfect ways, and ensures pure intent, for the good of all, wiping out any fear of selfishness. The Bible shows us the power of a faith-filled declaration to silence doubt and fear in the story of the woman with the issue of blood in Mark, chapter 5. For 12 years, she suffered, spent everything on doctors, and only got worse. Her diagnosis was hopelessness. But when she heard about Jesus, a new belief, a new program, started forming in her mind. She began repeating an affirmation to herself, "If I can just touch his clothes, I'll be healed." She didn't ask or beg. She decreed her healing to herself, over and over. That affirmation drowned out the doubt and despair that had tormented her for 12 years. It was that word, that focused faith, that propelled her through the crowd to touch Jesus. The result was instant. Jesus felt power leave him and said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you." It was her faith, activated by her affirmation, that worked the miracle. Your mission now is to craft your first dose. Pick an affirmation of wealth that resonates with you. It could be the one I shared or one you create yourself. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it. And most importantly, say it out loud, with feeling and conviction, multiple times a day. First thing in the morning to set the tone for your day. At night before bed to imprint your subconscious. And crucially, every time that doubting voice tries to sabotage you. This is your antidote. Use it without restraint. If you're ready to commit to taking this first dose today, drop your chosen affirmation in the comments. Declaring it publicly strengthens your intention. Chapter 3: Spiritual Surgery: Removing the cancer of resentment that prevents financial healing. You've got the diagnosis, and you're already taking the first dose of the antidote, your wealth affirmation. But to make this treatment truly effective, we need to perform a spiritual surgery. We've got to remove the malignant tumor that blocks financial healing for most people: resentment. Florence Scovel Shinn was crystal clear on this. You can't attract wealth while your heart is weighed down by the toxic energy of grudges, anger, or injustice. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person suffers. It keeps you energetically chained to the person or situation that hurt you, forcing you to relive the loss and pain over and over. It's a total roadblock to the flow of abundance. The universe, which thrives on the frequency of love and harmony, can't deliver its blessings to a heart vibrating with hate and discord. This spiritual surgery is the act of forgiveness. Let's be real clear here. Forgiving doesn't mean saying what someone did was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again or even have them in your life. In the context of universal law, forgiveness is an act of personal liberation. It's about cutting the energetic chains tying you to the past. It's you consciously choosing to stop suffering over something that's already done. Shinn taught that as long as you hold on to resentment, you're stuck under the law of karma, the eye for an eye deal, and you'll keep attracting loss and injustice. When you forgive, you rise to the law of grace, where the past is wiped clean, and you open yourself to receive unearned blessings. The surgery happens through your spoken command. You need to declare, even if you don't feel it at first, "I now forgive," name the person or situation, and release them completely. They are free, and I am free. The peace of God fills my being, and divine justice sets all things right. The Bible shows a direct link between forgiveness and blessing in the parable of the unmerciful servant in Matthew, chapter 18. A servant owed his king an impossible debt. He begged for mercy, and the king, moved by compassion, wiped the slate clean. That servant received grace. His debt was gone. But then, he found a fellow servant who owed him a tiny amount and refused to forgive him, throwing him in prison. When the king heard this, he was furious, revoked the forgiveness, and handed the servant over to tormentors until he paid every cent. The lesson hits hard. We can't expect to receive forgiveness, or grace, or abundance from the universe if we refuse to extend it to others. Our unforgiveness blocks our own good. Another powerful example is Joseph. Betrayed, sold, and forgotten by his brothers, he had every reason to hold a grudge. Yet, years later, as governor of Egypt, he told them, "You meant evil against me, but God turned it into good." He knew resentment would keep him trapped in trauma, while forgiveness let him step fully into the blessings God had created from that pain. Your task today is to pick up the scalpel of your words and perform this surgery. Who or what do you need to forgive? An ex-business partner who screwed you over? Your parents for passing down scarcity beliefs? Yourself for bad financial choices? Make a list. Look at each name and declare out loud, "I forgive you and release you. We are at peace." You might need to repeat it a few times until the emotional weight starts to lift. It's a process, but it's the most liberating procedure you'll ever do. If you're ready to perform this surgery and free yourself to receive, drop a like to seal that commitment. And if you feel this chapter could help someone you know who's stuck in resentment, share it. Helping another person heal speeds up your own healing. Chapter 4: The Prosperous Mind Diet. What you need to stop mentally consuming today. You've started detoxing your mind, clearing out resentment, and applying the antidote of affirmations. Now, let's talk about your daily mental diet. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant, it will grow. Plant seeds of fear, worry, and negativity, and you'll harvest scarcity. Plant seeds of faith, success, and abundance, and you'll reap prosperity. The problem is, most of us are unconsciously polluting our mental soil every single day. You can't spend your days eating mental junk food and expect a thriving financial life. It's impossible. Just like a high-performance athlete is meticulous about their physical diet, you, as a future master of the game of life, need to get fiercely selective about what you let into your consciousness. So, what's this mental junk? First up, the news. Mainstream media thrives on fear, crisis, and tragedy. Consuming it mindlessly is like sipping poison throughout the day. Second, gossip and complaining. Engaging in negative talk about others or constantly whining about your situation is a powerful affirmation that the world's a rotten place and you're a victim. Third, low-vibe entertainment. Movies, shows, and music that glorify violence, betrayal, or despair leave a toxic residue in your subconscious. And finally, negative people. Hanging around energy vampires, those who only complain and see the worst in everything, drains your strength and pollutes your mind. Shinn would say you've got to guard your ears and eyes from negativity like you'd protect your home from thieves. Your peace and prosperity vibe are your most precious assets. The Bible is crystal clear about guarding your mind. In Philippians 4 verse 8, the Apostle Paul lays out the perfect mental diet. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. He doesn't say, think about anything. He gives a curated list of high-quality ingredients for your mind. He's telling you to be picky, to focus on what uplifts and inspires. Proverbs 4 verse 23 puts it even more bluntly. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Here, heart means your subconscious mind. The springs of life, your health, relationships, and finances, flow directly from what you allow into your mind. Your task starting today is to begin this diet. It's not about shutting out the world, but becoming a conscious gatekeeper of your mind. Decide to drastically cut back on news. Ditch gossip circles. Choose entertainment that inspires and feels good. And, if needed, limit time with chronically negative people. Instead, feed your mind with uplifting books, inspiring music, success-focused podcasts, and, of course, your wealth affirmations. What's the main source of mental junk you're committing to cut out of your life starting today? Drop it in the comments, declaring it strengthens your resolve. And if you want to keep getting content that helps you protect and strengthen your mind, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. It's a small click that keeps your mental diet healthy. Chapter 5: Faith Physiotherapy. Small daily exercises to strengthen your receiving muscle. You've cleared out the mental clutter and started your mental diet. Now, it's time for some spiritual physical therapy. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that faith isn't just a passive belief, it's a spiritual muscle that, like any muscle, needs regular workouts to grow strong. Most people have an atrophied faith muscle. They might believe in the possibility of abundance, but the second a challenge hits, their belief crumbles. They give up at the first hurdle. This faith physiotherapy involves small, daily exercises that gradually build your ability to believe, trust, and, most crucially, receive. One of the biggest barriers to wealth is the inability to receive. We've been taught it's better to give than to receive, which often leaves us feeling uneasy or even guilty about accepting a compliment, a gift, or help. If you can't graciously receive a simple compliment, how do you expect to welcome massive wealth from the universe? The first exercise in this therapy is active gratitude. Gratitude is the vibration closest to the source, to God Himself. It's recognizing the abundance already in your life. Grab a notebook, call it your prosperity journal, and every night before bed, write down 3 to 5 things you were grateful for that day. Be specific. Don't just write, "For my health." Write, "For the strength in my legs that let me walk today." Not just for food, but for the rich, delicious taste of the coffee I sipped this morning. This specificity trains your mind to actively seek out the good, to focus on abundance instead of lack. Shinn would say this act of gratitude impresses your subconscious with the image of wealth already present. The second exercise is what Shinn called acting as if. It's faith in action. You don't need grand gestures. Start with small moves that make you feel prosperous. Want to travel? Don't just daydream. Pop into a travel agency and grab some brochures. Feel the thrill of planning. Want new clothes? Visit a high-end store, not to buy, but to try on something pricey. Feel the fabric. See yourself in the mirror as someone who owns it. These small acts are rehearsals for your subconscious. They build the muscle memory of prosperity. The Bible shows a similar principle in the story of the Shunammite woman and Elisha in 2 Kings, chapter 4. She was childless, her husband old. Elisha prophesied she'd have a son. Instead of doubting, she prepared a room for the man of God, a tangible act of faith and hospitality. She acted as if the blessing was already hers, and she received her son. The third exercise is blessing the prosperity of others. When you see someone with a fancy car, a big house, or celebrating a win, don't let envy creep in. That's just affirming lack. Instead, silently bless them. Say, "I bless your prosperity. What God has done for you, He's now doing for me and more." This flips envy, a constricting energy, into an affirmation of possibility. You're acknowledging that the source is infinite, and their success is proof of what's available to you too. Which of these 3 exercises are you most excited to start today? Gratitude, acting as if, or blessing others? Share your pick in the comments. Committing publicly is the first step in your new training routine. And if you want more exercises to build your prosperous mindset, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Consistency in training is what locks in the results. Chapter 6: The Divine Prescription. How the prayer of Jabez asked for expansion and obtained the blessing. You're working through your faith physiotherapy, strengthening your muscle to receive. Now, let's dive deeper with a divine prescription, a prayer so specific and powerful that the Bible itself highlights its immediate results. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that prayer shouldn't be a vague lament but a clear, focused affirmation of your desire, aligned with God's will, which is always for expansion and good. Too many people pray generically, "God, bless me." That's like walking into a restaurant and telling the waiter, "Bring me food." you probably won't get what you really want. You need to place your order with clarity. The prayer of Jabez, found in 1 Chronicles 4 verses 9 to 10, is the perfect example of a bold, precise, and effective prescription for prosperity. The Bible says Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. Why? Because of his prayer. He refused to settle for his circumstances. He dared to ask for more. Let's break down his prayer, this divine prescription, piece by piece. First, he says, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed." He's not asking for a small blessing. He's calling for a massive, abundant one. He sets an intention for greatness. Second, he prays, "And enlarge my territory." This is the heart of it. He's asking for expansion of his business, influence, capacity, or land. He refuses to stay small, claiming his divine right to grow. Third, he adds, "And that your hand might be with me." He knows he can't do it alone. He's asking for God's presence and guidance, for divine intuition and power in his actions. Finally, he prays, "And that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." He's asking for protection from the traps, fears, and negativity that can come with expansion, ensuring the blessing doesn't become a burden. This prayer is a perfect blueprint, aligning desire, expansion, faith, and protection. And the result? The verse ends with one of the Bible's most powerful lines, "And God granted him what he requested." Just like that. Straightforward. The prescription was written, the prayer was made, and the result was delivered. Shinn would have loved this story. It captures her core teachings. Jabez didn't dwell on his problems but focused on his vision of expansion. He used his words to decree his desire. He prayed with faith that God was the source of all blessing and growth. He didn't limit himself to what seemed possible. He asked for what his heart desired, aligned with God's will for increase. So, how can you apply this prescription today? You can literally make Jabez's prayer your daily prayer. Or you can adapt it to your specific situation. What territory do you need expanded in your life right now? Your client base, your monthly income, your creativity, your career. Take Jabez's model and craft your own divine prescription. For example, "Father, bless me abundantly in my work. Enlarge my territory with new opportunities and prosperous clients. Let your hand guide my every decision, and keep me from mistakes and fear, so my prosperity blesses me and everyone around me." What's the main territory you want to expand in your life right now? Share it in the comments. Speaking your desire out loud is the first step to manifesting it. And if you feel this divine prescription could transform someone else's life, drop a like and share this video. Let's spread this boldness to ask for more. Chapter 7. Hospital Discharge from Scarcity, the act of letting go that proves you're cured. You've gone through the diagnosis, taken the affirmation Antidote, performed the forgiveness surgery, started the mental diet, exercised your faith, and received the divine prescription. Now, you're at the point of being discharged from the hospital of scarcity consciousness. But what's the final test to prove you're truly healed? It's your ability to let go. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that after doing your part, aligning your mind, words, and actions, you must completely surrender the outcome to infinite intelligence. Trying to control the how or when of your manifestation is the biggest sign of lacking faith. It's like a patient trying to stitch their own incision after surgery. They'll only mess up the healing process. Anxiety, worry, and the need to control the result are symptoms that you still believe it's all on you, not God. True healing shows up as peace. When you can let go, hand over the burden, and move through your day with joyful but detached expectation, you prove to yourself and the universe that your faith is real. Letting go is perhaps the toughest step because it goes against our human instinct to control everything. But it's essential. Shinn shared the story of a woman who desperately prayed for a husband but stayed single. Upon examining her, Shinn saw she was gripped by fear and anxiety, constantly wondering why he hadn't shown up. She was choking her manifestation with her need for control. Shinn told her to let go, to stop worrying, and to affirm, "I release my burden of marriage to the infinite intelligence within me." If marriage is part of my divine plan, I give thanks. If not, I give thanks too. By detaching from the outcome, the woman found peace, and soon after, she met a wonderful man and married. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning your desire. It means giving up your grip on it. It's trusting that if it's for your highest good, the universe will deliver it in the perfect way at the perfect time. The Bible gives us a supreme example of the power of letting go in the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel, chapter 1. Hannah was barren and suffered deeply for not having children. She prayed with bitterness and anguish, her prayers rooted in pain and lack. But one day in the temple, she prayed differently. She made a vow to God, saying that if He gave her a son, she would give him back to the Lord for all his days. In that moment, she released her attachment to the child. She surrendered him to God before even receiving him. And what happened? Verse 18 says that after this prayer, the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. Her peace was proof of her faith and detachment. In due time, she conceived and gave birth to Samuel, one of Israel's greatest prophets. She could only receive the blessing when she was willing to let it go. Your task now is to practice this discharge. What desire or worry are you clutching most tightly? A business that's not taking off? A debt that won't budge? A relationship that's unresolved? Picture yourself placing that worry in a box, tying it with a ribbon, and handing it over to God. Then, declare with a sigh of relief, I now release this situation. I place it in the hands of infinite love and wisdom. If it's for my good, let it manifest. If not, let its divine equivalent come. I am at peace. How does it feel to imagine fully letting go of your biggest worry right now? Describe that feeling in the comments. The peace you feel is the start of your complete healing. And if this video helped you feel lighter, drop a like to spread that energy of peace to others. Chapter 8: Relapse Immunity. Creating a force field against other people's negativity. You've been discharged from the hospital of scarcity. You're healed. But just like a patient leaving the hospital needs to maintain their health to avoid a relapse, you now need to build your spiritual immunity. You're stepping back into a world that's largely stuck in the mass consciousness of poverty, fear, and criticism. You'll encounter friends, family, or colleagues who, often with the best intentions, will try to pull you back into old ways of thinking. They'll say, be realistic, don't aim so high, or that's impossible. Their negativity is like a virus trying to reinfect your system. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you need to create a protective force field around yourself. You can't let others' doubts and fears undo your inner work. Building this immunity is critical to sustaining your healing and continuing your journey to wealth. The first step to creating this force field is discretion. Not everyone is ready to hear about your new path of consciousness. Sharing your big dreams with small, skeptical minds is like planting seeds on rocky ground. They won't grow and will likely get trampled. Shinn would advise you to not cast your pearls before swine, a direct nod to Jesus' teaching in Matthew 7 verse 6. This isn't an insult, but spiritual wisdom. Your pearls are your dreams, affirmations, and budding faith. Guard them. Share them only with those who uplift and support you. For everyone else, silence is your best shield. Let them see your results, not your plans. The second step is active neutralization. When someone throws a negative thought or doomsday prediction your way, you don't need to argue or try to convince them. Just neutralize that negative seed in your own mind. Shinn taught to silently declare to yourself, every plan my Heavenly Father has not planned will be dissolved and dissipated. Only the divine plan now manifests. With this affirmation, you raise a shield. You acknowledge the negativity but refuse to let it take root in your mental soil. You're essentially saying, return to sender. You stay in peace, knowing only good has real power in your life. The Bible gives us a stunning example of spiritual immunity in the story of Nehemiah. While rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, he faced relentless negativity from Sanballat and Tobiah. They tried everything: mockery, threats, conspiracies, even fake invitations to meetings that were traps. Nehemiah's response is a masterclass in focus and protection. When they mocked him, he prayed. When they threatened him, he posted guards. And when they tried to lure him away from his work to talk, he sent his iconic reply, "I am doing a great work and cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it to go down to you?" He refused to stoop to their level of negativity. He didn't give his energy to their distractions. He kept his focus on the great work of his life. Your prosperity and success lie in your great work. Have you been letting others' opinions and fears pull you down from the wall? What's the great work in your life that deserves all your attention and protection right now? Share it in the comments. And if you want to keep strengthening your force field, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Our community is a space for mutual support and empowerment. Chapter 9. The Perfect Health of Abundance. The story of Naaman's servant and the reward of obedience. You've built your spiritual immunity and shielded yourself from external negativity. Now, let's talk about maintaining the perfect health of abundance. Wealth, like health, isn't a one-time event, it's a continuous state of being. The key to sustaining it is unwavering obedience to your intuition, to divine guidance. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that once you ask for direction, the universe always answers. The problem? The answer often comes in a form your logical mind, your ego, dismisses as too simple, illogical, or beneath you. Your ego craves grandiose, complex, dramatic solutions. Divine wisdom, on the other hand, often points to a simple, humble, straightforward path. Your ability to swallow your pride and follow that simple guidance is what separates manifestation from frustration. The blessing is always on the other side of your obedience. Shinn shared the story of a woman who desperately needed a large sum of money. She prayed for guidance, and the intuitive nudge she got was, "Go to a specific friend's house and help her sew curtains." Her ego immediately rebelled. "How could sewing curtains bring me thousands of dollars? That's ridiculous." But because she'd studied the law, she chose to obey. She went to her friend's house, and while sewing, she met a visitor who happened to be there. That visitor, learning of her skills, offered her a business opportunity that soon brought her the exact amount she needed. The solution was hidden in a simple act of obedience. The universe needed her in that place at that time, and the seemingly illogical instruction was the fastest route to get her there. The Bible gives us a stunning example of this in the story of Naaman, the Syrian army commander, in 2 Kings, chapter 5. Naaman was powerful and wealthy, but suffered from incurable leprosy. He traveled to Israel seeking the prophet Elisha for healing. He arrived with pomp, horses, chariots, and a fortune in gifts, expecting a grand ritual. But Elisha didn't even come out to meet him. He sent a messenger with an absurdly simple instruction: "Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Naaman was furious, his pride wounded. He raged, "Are not the rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" The solution was too simple, the river too dirty, the prophet too dismissive. He was ready to storm off, taking his leprosy and wealth back home. Enter the real hero of the story, Naaman's unnamed servant. The servants approached and said the wisest thing. "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more, then, when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" They convinced him to swallow his pride and obey. And what happened? So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. His complete healing came from obeying a simple instruction. How many times have you gotten a simple instruction from your intuition, called someone, read a book, do a small favor, and dismissed it as too silly? Think about it. What was the last intuitive nudge you ignored because your ego judged it insignificant? That might have been your trip to the Jordan. Your financial healing, your opportunity, could be hiding in a single act of simple obedience. If you commit to listening and acting on the next intuitive instruction you receive, no matter how small it seems, drop a like to seal that commitment. Chapter 10. Life After Healing. Maintaining the vibration of wealth so you never fall sick of poverty again. You've reached the end of the treatment. You've been discharged, built your immunity, and learned the power of obedience. You're healed from the disease of poverty. But true mastery isn't just in being healed, it's in staying healed. The post-healing life demands vigilance and upkeep. You need daily practices to keep your vibration permanently tuned to the frequency of wealth, so scarcity can never make you sick again. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that prosperity is your natural state. Poverty is an anomaly caused by misaligned thoughts. Maintaining the health of abundance, then, is about staying aligned with truth. This doesn't require backbreaking effort but a gentle, joyful consistency in your new mental and spiritual habits. The first maintenance practice is turning gratitude and affirmations from exercises into a lifestyle. Don't see them as chores but as your new way of breathing. Start and end each day with gratitude. Give thanks not just for what you have but for who you are and who you're becoming. Let your affirmations become your default inner dialogue. Instead of letting your mind wander to worries, fill those spaces with your statements of power. Shinn would say to live in your affirmations. Feel their truth. Act from them. Let them shape your decisions and emotions. When you consistently live in a state of gratitude and positive affirmation, your vibration rises to a level where scarcity can't even find a foothold. The second practice is celebrating every single sign of prosperity. The universe loves speed and loves being appreciated. When you get a hint of your manifestation, no matter how small, a surprise discount, finding a coin on the street, receiving a compliment, celebrate it. Thank it with enthusiasm. Say out loud, I acknowledge and whereupon, and thank this evidence of my abundance. More, please. Celebrating the small wins speeds up the arrival of the big ones. You're sending a clear signal that you're paying attention and ready for more. Most people ignore or dismiss these little blessings, and the flow slows down. Be an enthusiastic celebrator of abundance in all its forms. The Bible shows the importance of maintaining your healing in the story of the man freed from an evil spirit in Luke, chapter 11. Jesus explains that when an unclean spirit leaves a man, it wanders through desolate places, then says, I'll return to my house. If it finds the house, the mind, swept clean but empty, it brings back worse spirits, and the man's state becomes worse than before. The lesson is profound. It's not enough to clear your mind of negativity, sweep the house. You must actively fill it with thoughts of truth, love, gratitude, and prosperity. If you leave your mind empty, old scarcity patterns will creep back with a vengeance. Keeping your vibration high isn't optional, it's essential to protect your healing. Your healing journey has brought you this far. You're not the same person who started this video. You have the tools, knowledge, and power to create a life of continuous abundance. Your final task is to commit to this daily maintenance. What will be your main practice to keep your mental house filled with the vibration of wealth? Gratitude, celebration, or constant affirmation? Choose one and commit to it in the comments below. This is your vow to lifelong health. Thank you for trusting us to guide you on this journey. To keep getting booster shots and stay connected connected to this community, stay connected. Your journey doesn't end here, it's just the beginning. Until the next video.